Welcome to the Wine Zone. I'm Conrad Ejbich and this is Pro&Kon. Today my guest is Adam Lowy. Adam is a wine merchant turned wine maker. Okay, he's decided he wants to be a winemaker and has started his own brand, and it's called Cloudsley Cellars. So today we're tasting the very first wine that he made. It's a 2013, and I want to say first and foremost, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Right, now I think it takes a lot of courage to start your own brand. It's a tough world out there. You have to believe in what you're making, and you got to believe you can sell it all.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah. So my first question is, are you crazy?
I think I am.
Yeah.
But I was probably crazy to be in the wine business to begin with.
Well, that's the right answer on both parts. Sure, sure. So tell me about it. Tell me, this is your first wine. This is 2013. You made 185 cases.
Yes.
In 2014, you made 160 because it was a little, you were a little more selective as you grew up. But I want to go on here. Now, in 2015, you decided to really focus on one thing. Okay, so tell me the basis
about the process. So, what happened was I left after many years of working in the wine agency side of the business in Ontario.
With who?
With Lifford Wine Agency. I had a great 17 years there, and still consider myself part of the Lifford family. I have always loved wine. Obviously, that's what got me into it. And you spend 17 years selling other people's wine. You've always got ideas of what might be. What might be a different direction for this, what you might do a little differently here or there. For me, it really boiled down to a love of Pinot.
Right.
And
but I have a love of Pinot.
Yeah.
And I've been in the wine business for a long time.
But
you know what? But I don't have the cojones. I don't have the cojones.
Okay.
I think it takes a real, what was it that said, well, I can do this better?
Well, there were a couple things. One is I started to see more and more wines coming out of Niagara that I really loved, and I thought, well, I can't make. This is my home. I am not going to be making wine in New Zealand or Burgundy or Oregon. This is where I live. And when I saw something in the Ontario wine business that I'm not a pioneer. There were people who came and took much bigger risks than I did.
We'll be talking with Donald Zeraldo. So
okay, well, he's certainly top of the list there. But for me, it was seeing what was possible here, and quite frankly, I'm a wine geek, but I'm also very opinionated about what wines I like and what styles. And I saw the potential to make Pinot Noir the way I like it in Ontario. And that really excited me, and quite frankly, I wanted to try the other side of the table. I wanted to be on the winery side.
So are you saying that the kind of Pinot Noir that you wanted to drink and make doesn't exist in Ontario?
No, what I'm saying is I saw people starting to make wines.
It's exactly
like
what
that.
you want. And you
like
want to
that.
be a,
well, not exactly. I thought, of course I can do it better.
No.
But no, quite frankly, there are some great winemakers in Ontario, and many of them are good friends of mine. And I would, I certainly, don't have such a big ego to think that I can do it better than them. I want to contribute to the conversation.
Where did you make this wine? And speaking of, having lots of colleagues, did any of them help you?
Yes.
Has anybody advised you? Is there anybody you'd consider a mentor?
Well, I would have to, there are certainly people who've influenced me a lot. But if there's one person that I would consider a mentor, certainly in Ontario, it would be Thomas Batchelder. He's a good friend, and I've worked closely with him in a number of different ways over the years. And his style of winemaking has certainly influenced me. I have great admiration for what guys like Norm Hardy are doing. While there are different people, slightly, stylistic differences, there are other great Pinot producers there. Be it Harold Teal's Hidden Bench, and Malabar is making some very good
Of course.
ones. I mean, there's you know the cast of characters, but I would have to say if I were to pick one, it'd be Thomas and I have done a lot of stuff together. So.
And I understand that this was made at a location where Thomas works on a
Yes,
regular basis.
that's right.
And that is?
And that is Domaine Caylus, and they were gracious enough to let me occupy a little part of their facility for a while, and it's been a fantastic relationship.
I bet they're benefiting from it too, of course.
So what's happening, first of all, what's happening this year, like 2016?
Well,
With your
2016,
grapes?
yeah. Well, so I just pressed out my third and final tank yesterday, and so
How big's a tank for you?
depends.
We're talking
No.
Not
These are-
Tommy John.
So I had basically three cuvées this year that from 2 vineyards, one with 2 different blocks that had clonal differences. I wanted to see what
Which
they
is
looked like.
Wismer's
Yeah.
Homestead and Glenelgin block.
That's correct, and there are 2 different clones in Homestead, and I wanted to see what they looked like
Fascinating.
separately.
Okay, fascinating.
So altogether, I mean, we're talking about this year will be somewhere in the 500 case range.
Okay, but what's the quality like? 2016, everyone wants to know. I mean,
Well,
today is October the 19th, so I mean.
Sure, and
Pinot's been pulled in.
I can only speak to Pinot,
Yeah.
although I've seen some
Yeah.
Chardonnay come across the line, and I know I've heard things about, and of course, most of the Cabernet Franc and Cab Sauv are still on the line. So,
And it's beautiful. It's 20 degrees outside.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. This year was a strange year, although a grower commented to me recently. He said there's no such thing as a normal year in Niagara. There are always differences. But this year, the most puzzling thing is we had this roasting hot summer, super dry. Everyone was expecting Niagara wines to taste like California, and that they'd be inky black and really concentrated. But what I think happened is that at some point the vines shut down and didn't act the way that they normally would.
Well, I think above 30, vines tend to shut down. And we had so many days over 30 where they'd go up and just say, no, sorry, I'm taking a break.
And-
Siesta.
Yeah, and so you had a couple different things happen. One is that they didn't tend to get as well developed throughout the season as we would have expected. And at the end of the year, they weren't picking up the Brix levels weren't increasing at the rate that they normally would. So we weren't seeing high Brix levels in the Pinot. Certainly in the I can't speak for everyone, but I wasn't seeing as high Brix levels as I would have thought, which is fine because quite frankly, stylistically, I don't want to make California Pinot.
We don't want a 15%.
No, I don't want that. I want wines that are a little bit more on the delicate, elegant side. So for me, that was okay. But it was what surprised me also is that it wasn't a particularly deeply colored vintage, but what it was a spectacularly flavored vintage. So the flavor development was incredible, and
Not just in the amount, but in terms of the quality, the
Yeah,
brightness, the real right at the edge there.
and cleanliness too, the
Beautiful.
flavor. So I think that this is the best word to describe this. It's not gonna be, there are all these words that people use in the wine business to
I
describe
think vintage of the
vintages.
century.
Yeah, vintage of the century is a very good one, and I tend not to throw that around because I'm so new at it. But what I would say is that this is a vintage that will be described as delicious. People
Right.
will want to drink this.
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, it's not Van de Garde. These are not necessarily going to be classic high tannic wines that you'll want to put away for 10 or 15 years. Although, we'll see.
Some
I mean,
will make them that way,
it's-
absolutely.
And of course, we're in October of 2016. My wines have yet to even see the inside of a barrel, and they'll be there for 16 months. So it's a little early to.
Well, yeah,
Let's decide now. In 21 years, will they be doctors or lawyers?
That's right. That's right. But all indications are pointing to an excellent vintage that
Right.
people will really enjoy drinking.
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
It's in the blood. It feels like this is going to be a great one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got good quality wine.
What about sales? How are sales doing?
Well, sales are doing well. I mean, I have not, I don't have too much wine to sell. So, you know, I was very happy to see things move along and build slowly until the point in the future when I have a good quantity and it's more of a worry.
Right,
so,
right.
So that's sort of where I'm at. I'm taking a longer term view. I could have gone out and sourced more wine at the beginning, but I really I want to grow this relatively organically.
No, I think that's smart.
So,
That's smart.
yeah.
So the 2013, this one here, this bottle here, the 2013, this one is almost sold out.
Yeah.
Your first vintage, the
Yeah.
one that you're showing up, it was like, what you got the first vintage?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one's really
And
worth a lot.
I am going to make sure I keep some because one is that, you know, I enjoy drinking it, but also
Sure.
I think it's important to have a reference point.
I agree.
And it's always fun to pull out
I-
bottles and oh, this was the first one, or I've had you know, being in the business so long, I've traveled to many wineries, and it's always special when a winery will pull out something from their library for you.
I'll tell you that happens almost, well, very, very often when foreign winemakers come here. They bring the portfolio of what they're selling, and they'll bring 2 or 3 vintages that are 5, 10, sometimes 15 years old. And what they're doing is they're really showing what these wines that you're currently buying can do. Many Ontario wineries don't do that, even though the industry is now getting close to 40 years old, and they have the wines in their cellars, or should have the wines in their cellars.
Yeah, I think should have.
Should have.
Some people don't do it. I mean, there's a number of things. One is a lot of young business don't.
I don't expect that of the young guys.
No, but the other side of it is I think that people in many New World areas, or I shouldn't say New World only, in newer wine regions, don't necessarily have the confidence in how their wines will age. And I think,
Yeah.
you know, I remember talking to a very famous winemaker in New Zealand who was saying that, you know, he's like, oh, don't keep my wine too long. And I could tell that the wine had the stuffing to go the distance.
That's right.
But he was, you know, cautious. And I've tried in the last year a couple 15-year-old Ontario Pinots that shocked me with their youthfulness. So, you know, I want to see for myself.
I have a couple 20-year-olds here that are robust and alive.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
very, very fascinating. So, so how soon do you project you'll make a fortune?
Well, I don't expect that.
No?
Not out of the wine business.
Well,
but-
maybe we can help you out here. So, where
good.
can folks buy your wine?
Well, you can buy it at directly from me.
Yeah.
And for now, and of course at fine restaurants throughout Ontario.
If you don't have this wine in your restaurant, you are not a fine restaurant.
There you
Is
go.
that what you're saying?
That's basically.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You better
That's
kick
fine.
you out.
Saying no, because the other ones that don't have it, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually, this is terrific. I like the style. I like the cleanliness. I like the purity. I like the fact that the varietal character comes through. I like the delicacy. This could easily be confused with French Burgundy, with Burgundy.
Well, that's where my palate lies. I mean, that's what you know. If you hold a gun to my head and ask me my favorite wine, it's going to be Burgundy. I love this style, and I love Pinot Noir, but I love Pinot Noir that has tension.
Yeah.
And it's this word that not everyone sort of understands me when I say, but it's something I've first heard Burgundians talk about, and I think of it as like a taut wire that everything's hanging on.
Absolutely. That's that point of balance where everything's going. You've got everything, and there's a lot of it, and it's just all together, working well together.
Yeah, and a wine like that is not only enjoyable on, you know, as an accompaniment to food, and you know, but you can get into it on an intellectual level, and it's a great drink.
Yes.
You know, because there are a lot of red wines out there that offer a lot of things but aren't refreshing.
Correct. Whereas this is mouth-watering,
absolutely,
refreshing.
yeah.
Yeah. And so when, obviously you got 185 Ks, you can't drink this every night. So you pull out a bottle every so often. What do you like to eat with it when you're having it?
Well, I love to eat, you know, when I can, game, duck, things
Yeah,
like
a little
that.
duck,
with
fantastic.
Pinot, often But I had some of this with Thanksgiving turkey,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh, yeah,
it was delicious. And I've had this with salmon as well.
Yeah.
And I know it's people always talk. It's not always a great match,
what?
but it works. And I think that the when you have a wine that has that nice balance, that nice that nice energy to it, that it becomes more versatile.
Right. If you're stuck on beef or lamb, which would you prefer?
I would say lamb probably.
Okay.
With this, but to be honest,
Because I go beef, but that's me.
well, it depends on the beef. On the beef.
Well, I think that lamb has it's not the gaminess. It's something that it's almost a mintiness within the meat itself. Whereas beef has a rich, bloody taste, and I get that in the wine.
Yeah.
I mean, that the connection with flesh.
Well, I have to admit, I've had this wine several times, and I've had it with both,
Yeah.
and they both work.
Yeah.
There's no
the
wrong
bottom
answer
line
there.
is whatever you got, and even if you got nothing,
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is the wine
Absolutely,
to have. Listen, thank you for joining me, Adam. This is terrific. My guest has been Adam Lowy. He's the producer of this lovely Cloudsley Cellars Pinot Noir. You can get it by going to cloudsleycellars.com. Cloudsley Cellars, all one. Is it .com or .ca?
It's .com. And
.com.
I think .ca will get you there as well.
Okay. Well, just punch in Cloudsley Cellars, and Google will do the rest. So tune in again. We got a terrific lineup of guests coming up in the near future. Click on the subscribe button so you don't miss any of them, and come back again and see more. Bye for now. Cheers.
There you go.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
I'm thinking next one. Oh shit, that's so good. I just gotta see it.